Good morning, this is Kerry from Kerry's Reborn Baby Loves. I've got half an hour till it's noon, so today is Sunday and, there goes my clock now. This is annoying. Okay, now it's stopped. This is my vinyl kit that I'm painting one day. I want to make this video something a little bit different instead of changing the bubbies, which I presume gets a little bit boring for some people. But this one I want to show what's entailed a little bit of reborning one of the vinyl bulbs. This is Chase, with the light shining there. Chase, that is, Bonnie Brown's, one of her bubbies. That's a certificate of authenticity. And obviously this is the kit. What we receive is, this is the body, and obviously the vinyl arms, the head, and of course the legs are up here. I just use a cup holder. It's good to keep them off the actual workstation, which is usually covered with these puppy pee pads, which is absorbent and gets rid of the paint off your brushes when you're wiping, etc., etc. So that is Chase. I was going to try and make him a little girl, but he's a very, very boyish looking kid, so we'll soon see. I'm not doing him anytime soon, but yeah, he will be one. Going along here, this is the paints I use. It's Genesis heat set paints. I'm trying for something that's with its name on. From Bountiful Babies. They're actually used with thinners, which I actually use the odorless one. Aussie Reborn Supplies is where I get most of my products, is probably 99%. So the thinners and the Genesis heat set paints are mixed together. Obviously we use our brushes. And heat set paint generally means heat, so once the paint is dry, after a few layers, say 3 or so layers, is what I do anyway, I cook the baby in the oven. It's only for like 6 to 8 minutes, depending on what I've actually done. And obviously we got our brushes, the cotton buds, the toothpicks. Toothpicks is great for cleaning up messes, especially when I do the nails. Obviously your paint palette. We got our sponges. These are just cosmetic wedge, as you can see. We pluck holes in them for mottling, and as you can see, this is not the same sort of thing, of course, but that's sort of what we do for mottling. There's many, many layers of paint. It's a build-up of painting that gives you the, I guess, the depth with the skin, all the layers. Next step, when we finish painting, of course, we seal with whichever paints you actually use, but I use a Genesis sealer. Then we use the glue to glue in eyes. If you've got an open-eyed kit, of course, you can get the plastic ones. And my favourites are, I do love the glass ones. Whoops, now the phone's going to, whoops, misbehave. So we use the little glass eyes. They get glued into the eye socket from behind. And I just got this out because that's what I use to glue the hair in, but we'll go to there in a minute. And then, of course, whoops, our magnets for our dummies. I do make my own. Whoops. Just buy ordinary baby dummy. Get rid of the teat part of it, and you glue on your magnet. We got, I'll just put a felt on it because I don't like this bare magnet touching the lips, because I presume it's going to scratch off a bit of paint. But that's just me. That's not something you should do. And with me sharing this, this isn't a tutorial of any sort. No one's right or wrong. This is just what I do, and I just wanted to share it. So then we move along. Okay, we've got the eyes, magnets, painting's all done. Now we've got our stuffing. I get mine from Lincraft It's really, I don't like using the cushion filler, which a lot of people do. We use our glass beading. Now, I don't know whether you can see it. You can definitely feel it on the floor when you've dropped some. It's like sand. It's like little tiny balls of glass. And that is put into the limbs. I use a thicker grade glass in a stocking. Just ordinary old stockings. I obviously used a bit of that one. So that's for the body and that. But the limbs get the very fine sand glass plus the stuffing. And the body, I've actually got some thicker stuff in here, actually. I didn't realise I did. There's a little hole there, whether you can see it. It's a lot thicker, but that's what we put inside the body and in the head. Did not make a big mess there, hey? Oh, I've got to clean it up. So, yeah, that's what we do there. Now, the stocking, I like to double it over a couple of times because it's very fine. We don't want it going through any of the little tiny holes. So we've got our limbs and everything stuffed, and then we put our plugs inside the limb where the opening is, of course, and that holds everything in, which we do on the neck and all the limbs. And of course we've got the rings. Not everyone uses the rings, but you know, this is for the neck. Put it around the base. We'll go for a little walk back around here. Here we go. We'll get Chase's head and we'll show you. This isn't the actual size that I'm going to use for it, but it goes on in that little split there, as you can see. And you're able to move the head a lot smoother, apparently. I have not used it, I'll be honest, a lot of the times, but they're just for my babies anyway, so it's no concern. So that's the rings, all the plugs. So we've got our head, we're all ready. Now, that body, as you've seen, did have little zip ties in, but we do also have extra because sometimes we do it too tight or, you know, we bugger up somewhere along that. So you've got to have spares. Now, I don't know whether you can see, but these little ones have little tiny heads on. A lot of people I have noticed, and I have had one baby that has had, I'm sure we've all seen them in our cheapy stores, Bunnings, you name it, the zip ties, but they've got a really big head on them. The big head is not good because the size of it, it does rub on. Well, I did have one baby that had them in the legs that actually was starting to rub paint off, and I was horrified, to be honest. Tiny little head, you know, it's up to you, whatever you want to use, but my preference is not, because finer head is better for the baby all round. And of course, we've got Chase's head here. Now, he will have hair, he'll have eyelashes. Then we've got the brows. Now, with the babies, because I do Genesis, it is different to your air dries. I mean, you can do anywhere between 9 to 15 layers of paint, you know, by the time you do your washes, your mottles, and of course you're not including the sealing in that, and how often everyone does that too. But well, because I use the oven, you know, that's a long time in between because you've got to wait for it to cool. And obviously we do it outside because of all the hoo-ha over the vinyl being toxic, been heated. But that's another story on its own too. So we've got all that done. We haven't put the head on because we've got to do hair and that. So we go over here, and here's one I prepared earlier. I'm doing this little bubby. Whoops. Now obviously we've got to have something soft to put the head on because we don't want anyone getting paint off. So this is, gosh, a good 10 hours, maybe a little bit more, of doing hair. It doesn't look much And yeah, it does look a bit thick, but I don't really want it too fine. Obviously it has to be trimmed also. So yeah, I'm doing hair on this little one. Now we've got a cushion. Here we have, I use a little heat lamp. Obviously it goes in here. You push these things in there, and when it's inside, it opens up so the lamp doesn't move. Obviously the blue bit at the bottom holds it steady. So we put that there. Over here, so that goes in there as well. Then we've got our magnifying lamp. Not everyone has to have anything that I say here. This is just what I do. I use my magnifying lamp to do my hair. And we got all our things that we need. Was obviously the toothbrush is good for you brushing your tangles out. Your scissors, obviously. And this is a needle in the holder that I'm actually using at the moment. I think it's 42 gauge 1 barb, I think. Tweezers. Whoops. Oh, this is another needle. This is what it actually looks like. It's when it's put inside here. Whether you can see, there's a barb. Maybe not. There's a barb on the side there. That's what they actually look like. Very sharp. The best hair I've ever done was actually in my thumb one time. It was lovely. Really hurt too. So yeah, obviously we need our needles and just some water with a bit of conditioner in to help get little tangles out while we're doing it. I have got this little one sitting because I have glued inside as I've sort of been going. Whoops, lid nearly rolled off there. So we've got to wait for that to dry first, of course. So I'm not sure if you can see, but actual hair inside, it has been glued. So we've got to wait for that to dry a bit before we do any more. Now, gosh, once that head is done, lashes, brows, whether the brows are painted or actually rooted with hair, is, you know, you just got to glue that in, obviously. Once all glue's dried and everything, then we put a little bit of the stuffing in with a bit of glass beading to give it weight. And obviously we all have our preferences of light or heavy babies. I personally prefer a bit heavier. So we've done all that. We got our hair painted, everything, and then we end up with a baby. Now, those who have been following me for a little while will know this is Benjamin Lucas, my beautiful little Knox baby from Lauralee Eagles, beautifully painted by Tiffany from Coco's Nursery. The hair was done by her husband. It is beautiful, but we've got a little bit of bad hair at the moment, so we just excuse your hair. Hey, he's a very heavy sleeper. So yeah, we do all that work. Obviously this is Tiffany's work, not mine, but it's just beautiful. Some of the babies, I mean, we could all do the same kit and they would all look so different. It all depends on how thick or how strong I should make your paint, how many layers of paint. We do our nails, nail tips. He's obviously got a cloth body in there. So then there we go. We end up with a baby. So, yeah, I don't follow a particular tutorial. I just sort of mix up a few and, you know, you sort of suit yourself what you actually do. But that's sort of what is entailed with what I do. Look at this little giraffe. He's hiding behind this chip. Are you still sulking? Come on, out you come. Oh, I have to deal with him after, I think. Yeah, so, a special hello to Brianna. Woo! Nearly dropped my phone, sorry. Hi, Brianna. So, I think I covered most of it, you know, just as a little short example of what we do. And Jethro says a big hello to Suzanne. Honey, Suzanne. I'm just trying to get a good view of him here. I've had him since the beginning of this year and I just love, love, love him. I think with one other video we will actually